Hello, it's Ruby, and today I'm going to be sharing 35 study break ideas with you. This is a video I've wanted to film for ages, and I really hope that you find it helpful. So of course breaks are important for refreshing and refueling us, and there's a wonderful story about a woodcutter which exemplifies this. It might take a woodcutter 7 hours to cut down a tree if his axe is blunt, but if he took just 5 minutes to sharpen it, he might be able to cut it down in half an hour. In the same way, we can work more productively and make more from our time if we take breaks every now and then and sharpen our axes. These study break ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you today are hopefully ones that will help you come back to your studies feeling more refreshed and motivated. Today's video is also very kindly sponsored by Babbel, which is a language learning app. So this video is going to be separated into 6 sections: movement, general health, learning, chores and organisation, admin and planning, and other. So we're going to start by thinking about movement, which is my personal favourite kind of study break. I always feel most refreshed when I take a study break where I move my body, and there have been numerous studies which show that exercise is good for concentration and generally just improving cognitive function. For example, a 2015 study by the University of British Columbia shows that the hippocampus volume increases if you practice aerobic exercise. The hippocampus is the most important part of the brain for learning. It can also reduce brain fog and help with fatigue if you exercise regularly. Another study found that interspersing lessons with 20-minute sessions of aerobic exercise improved attention span. So here are a few ideas of movement-based study breaks that you can take. The first one is yoga. I got into yoga this year and I absolutely love it. I do a 10-minute flow when I need a break, and I always come back feeling more refreshed and relaxed. When you do yoga, you focus on your breath because yoga is all about aligning movement with breath, and by focusing on your breath, you take your focus away from stress and schoolwork and academics, and I always find that it just helps to put things into perspective for me and helps me to be more focused when I come back to work. A 2010 study found that 8 weeks of regular yoga led to decreased stress and changes to the amygdala, which is the part of the brain which regulates fear and anxiety. So yoga is a great thing to do in a study break. Next, meditation, which really does link to yoga too. It also has so many health benefits like reducing stress, increasing attention span, improving sleep. Just a 5-minute meditation can again help you come back to your work feeling more focused. Next, stretching. I always feel so good after stretching or rolling out my muscles. Stretching can help improve posture, which is obviously really good if you're sitting down for prolonged periods of time, but it's also been used to increase serotonin levels. You could also do a quick, fun dance class online. There are so many good 10-minute classes. I especially love Kyra Pro. I always just feel so energized afterwards because it's genuinely just good fun and it does not feel like exercise. Of course, you could do some other kind of exercise, like go for a run, go for a cycle, go swimming, and then the final movement break idea is going for a walk, which is another of my favorite things. I try to go on a walk every day, and I do treat this as a kind of meditation. Nietzsche claims that walking makes you more creative, and a 2014 Stanford study did find that walking enhances creative thinking. So not only can I testify that walking is just fun and will make you feel amazing and it's just one of my the best things to do, but it can also help with creativity. Next, we're going on to other kinds of healthy breaks. So the first thing is to go outside. I always feel better when I go outside. Just going outside and taking 5 deep breaths and then going back inside. That's a really quick thing that you can do and you will feel better for it. Again, there are so many health benefits for going outside. The thing that I find personally is just I feel I put things into perspective if I can access a natural place, if I can be in nature. Just in the presence of one tree, that helps me to be more focused, because I think the number one thing to interfere with focus is stress, and so as you can tell, a lot of these breaks are actually aimed at reducing stress on some level. Next, make some tea, because as Douglas Adams says in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a cup of tea would restore my normality. Honestly, I don't think there's anything better than a cup of tea, and this is again just like a 2-minute thing where you can go downstairs, make a quick cup of tea and bring it back up to your desk, but it just takes you away from the study space for a few moments, which can be really good. Next, drink a load of water or fill up your water bottle. Spoken about this so much, and we all know this, but drinking water is very good for concentration and general cognitive function, and again, it just gets you out of your chair. You could also get a snack. Here is my messy box of study snacks. I was thinking of sharing my top study snacks in a video soon, so let me know if that is something you'd like to see. This is a really small one, only a minute long. Go to a window and just look outside. Just look somewhere where you can see far out. Apparently this is good for reducing eye strain. Like if you're looking at a book or your computer for prolonged periods, that can cause eye strain. But apparently if you look out a long way, it can help with that. And so that's something you could just spend a few minutes doing. Next, have a shower or a bath. I always feel so refreshed after bathing. The next section is learning. So I said before about the importance of doing something active in a study break and making sure that your brain is still working, as Daniel H. Pink talks about in his book Drive, and all of these things will help keep your brain active for when you come back to your studying. So the first thing is learning a language. Again, there are so many benefits to learning a language for cognitive function. Studies have shown that language learning can increase the volume of grey matter in the brain, which means that it can help with cognitive function. A meta-study in 2019 also found that language learning helps with creativity and improves creativity, which is again really cool. In line with this, I'm trying to pick Spanish back up again, which I used to study at A-level when I filmed my notebooks video about like how to fill up empty notebooks. I spoke about how I used to keep a Spanish journal, and I was actually inspired to start that up again. So in a study break, I might write a quick entry in that journal, or I might use Babbel, which I've been using to start picking my Spanish back up again because I want to improve my fluency again. So Babbel is a language learning app and site which puts vocabulary, grammar, speaking and listening all in one place when learning a language, like all of the different elements you would need to learn. It actually teaches you language which is going to be useful. It's not random vocabulary, you know, the kind that you learn at GCSE. It's language which will help you have conversations. So for example, this lesson is about climate change. Those are conversations that you want to be able to have with people in another language. I actually really enjoy doing it as well. The activities are engaging and varied. So for example, this one is a comprehension task, but they're also quick. It only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to do one of the sessions, and so it is perfect for a quick study break. They also have a podcast I've been listening to called Palabras Bravas, and something like this, a podcast in another language, can be really great if you're doing chores or going on a walk in your break. I wholeheartedly recommend Babbel if you are trying to get a language back, but also you can use it to learn a language from scratch. They have 14 different languages to choose from. You could do Spanish, you could do Russian, you could do French. I've tried a few language learning apps and this is the best one I've come across. And if you would like to start using them, then I've got a special offer where you can get 30% off for a 6-month, 12-month or lifetime membership to Babbel. So there'll be a link in the description box if you want to sign up and learn the language with me. It's one of my goals for 2022. I really just want to get my Spanish back because I'm so sad that I lost it, and this is a great thing for me to be doing in study breaks. Next, you can practice a musical instrument. Again, this is supposed to be really good for improving brain function. I personally don't play a musical instrument, but if you do, then this would be a very good study break. Next, reading. So I particularly like dipping into short stories or poetry anthologies and study breaks, as opposed to if I read fiction, I find that I get too distracted and I end up just wanting to sit there and read for a really long time, so that turns more into leisure time for me. But with a short story, you can just read like a short segment of something. Next, this is one of my favourite things to do actually in a study break, which is researching something that came up that you were interested in whilst you were studying. When I'm studying, I will always find things that I want to learn more about. And I keep a note of these whilst I'm researching, whilst I'm learning, because I know that I don't have the time to do that right now. I know that I can't get distracted, I can't go on too many research tangents, but a study break is the perfect time to follow up on some of these interests. So if you found a paper that wasn't related to your subject, but you were interested to read, you could read it in a study break. Next, you could try answering some riddles. This is quite a random one, but it can be quite fun. You could also do like brain teaser puzzles of some kind, so things like crosswords and Sudoku puzzles, code words. You could learn a poem by heart. Amanda Duckworth actually writes about this in her book on grit and how reciting poetry can improve grit, which is quite cool. Weak and weary over many acquainting curious volumes of forgotten lore, whilst I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tap. You could find 3 new words and write these up. So focus on building your vocabulary. Again, a really quick, short thing to do. Aside from that, you could just learn something else, like Morse code or capitals or pi, just something that will get your brain working. Now, the next section is chores and organising, which is one of my favourite things to do in study breaks. I think chores are such a great thing to do in study breaks. So number one is just basically any kind of chore that you might need to get done, like laundry or washing up. Next, tidying your room. I really do think that a tidy room is a tidy mind. I get so distracted and I can't concentrate if my room isn't tidy. I know I've put this in as a study break, but honestly I think this is something you should do before you start a study session, because I always find that I get so distracted if my room isn't tidy when I start working. Next, clean your desk. A really simple thing to do, but again, I always feel more refreshed when I sit down at a desk which is clean, which I know has been disinfected. Next, you could organise something in your room, so declutter your wardrobe, reorganise your desk drawers. You could also organise your folders or notes, making sure all of your papers are in order. And finally, you could sort out your pens and get rid of ones that don't work. Next, we've got admin and planning. I would probably say that planning is my favourite thing to do in a study break. It's genuinely one of my favourite things to do. Planning and movement are the two things I tend to gravitate towards most often. Plan your study session for the afternoon or your to-do list for next week. You could also update your planner or your calendar or your bullet journal and get all of that in order. Potentially controversial opinion though, because I know a lot of people say that planning is a waste of time and that it's a bad idea to spend a lot of time planning. I really think that the time you put into planning something will pay off. If I spend 30 minutes planning my studying for the week, for example, I know that I'll make up those 30 minutes somewhere else just from being more intentional and productive with my time. I'm personally a very big proponent of planning. Maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but it definitely works for me. And I think it's a very good use of time. You could also do admin-based things like tracking finances, any tasks like that you might need to do. And finally, you could do some kind of meal prepping. So if you know that you're going to have a busy week next week, roasting some vegetables ahead of time. And then finally, we've got other things which I just didn't know where else to put. So the first thing is listening to music, which again, I did not realise just how many benefits there are to listening to music. A 2013 study found that music can help put people in a better mood, which honestly goes without saying. Like, I feel like we don't need a study to tell us that. We do just feel good when we listen to music that we enjoy. There have been a few studies related to classical music in particular. Apparently it can improve memory and also attention to detail, so that's something to bear in mind. You could just sit down, put in your headphones and listen to a piece of music. Next, write a letter. I try and write a letter every day. You could also watch something that gets you thinking, keeps you actively engaged. So basically something that you could write notes on. That's not to say that you will write notes on it, but something you're going to be actively engaging with as opposed to passively watching. You could do a piece of creative writing, so writing a poem or a short story. You could draw or paint something, just do something creative. You could have a chat with someone that you live with or call someone up if you live by yourself. And then finally do some kind of journaling, so just writing in a notebook or doing gratitude journaling or reflecting on things that you've learnt that day, responding to journal prompts. Any of these things I think make a good short study break. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful and I hope that you can try some of these study break ideas yourself. Thank you again to Babbel for sponsoring today's video, and I hope that you have a productive week. It's so cold, so the second I've finished filming, our boiler broke yesterday and hopefully it's going to be fixed next week, but at the moment we have no hot water and it's like 11 degrees in the house, which is really quite cold. So I'm going to go back to looking a little bit like Father Christmas, and thank you again for watching today's video. Okay, bye. Just a quick reminder before we start this video that I have a stationery shop where I sell stationery I've designed to help with productivity. The yearly planner is still available, as well as this versatile notebook and a range of to-do list pads, which will be linked down below.